Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2023 Land Rover Defender 90. Before we get into the video though, I do want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover of downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Defender 90. Check out the inventory in the description down below, and then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below as well. Let's get right into the review. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outlets being 296 horsepower and then 295 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go over the front end of the Defender 90. So first off, you guys will notice that we've got the hood accent pieces that are actually finished in gloss black, contrast very nicely to the white on this particular Defender. Notice the hood is just flat there in the center portion and then kind of slopes off to the side. We've got the daytime running lights, which look fantastic. Then you guys can see the LED headlamps, super bright. They're blinding me right now, to be honest. Got the fog lights down below. Parking sensors here integrated to the front end. And notice how they kind of sculpt the front end to help with the ground clearance here on the 90. And you guys can see kind of how that looks from a front end perspective. And notice the difference if you have the trim pieces at the bottom in gloss black versus the plastic that's on the 90. The gloss black does kind of change things up quite a bit, but yeah, there's the front. Now coming around the side here, we've got two 75mm tires wrapped around 22-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And let's get into the design on the wheels. So you can see the wheels are all blacked out and has that 5-spoke design, which is kind of a signature of old school off-roaders. Definitely love that the Land Rover is paying heritage to that. Got the Defender logo there on one of the spokes of the wheel. Now this one does have the air suspension package. You guys can see that in the wheel well. And then in here with the little fender flare. And then notice here with the Defender logo there at the top and then the venting on the side. And then notice here how the plastic continues here all along the side over to the rear. And you can see again, same design with the wheel there in the back. And then here's a quick look at the rear. And notice how it's kind of like all closed off, which helps with cleanup. Now here's our key fob. We have our unlock lock. This is for the lights, and then this is to basically unlock the rear, because you do have to open it up yourself, just like the G-Wagon, right? It's all connected with the window and the hatch, and swings open, right, horizontally instead of vertically like most hatches, which is cool. Notice we've got a bunch of like goodies here in the back. Now, being the 2-door, you don't get nearly as much storage space here in the rear, so that is something that you give up. If you want extra storage space in the rear, then you just go for the 4-door configuration. But you know, it's still practical here with the rear, and because it says air suspension, you can see you've got the raise and lower here for the rear end, so it helps out with loading stuff up. And when you're all done, you just gotta close this up, and it's actually pretty light. Now let's finish things up here with the rear. First off, let's go over the taillights on the Defender. I love the distinct appearance here with the taillights. Kind of hard to see because of the sunlight. I'll actually pop over here to the other side so you can see them a little bit better. There you go. Got your Land Rover logo, more parking sensors here on the rear, and then notice here with the spare tire on the back, just like Ford Bronco, Jeep Wrangler, Mercedes G-Wagon. Definitely a cool aesthetic with all of that. And then you can see here with the little exhaust tips poking out either side there at the bottom portion. And yeah, overall definitely has that cool off-roader boxy design from an appearance perspective. And again, here's like the 3/4 on the 2-door, and then you guys can see the 4-door right next to it, so you can kind of see the difference in the size and then proportions. Now before we go over the whole front door panel seat situation, we do got to talk about the rear seats. So the Defender 2-door does have rear seats, and as you guys can see, we actually have a decent amount of legroom, and they have vents there for the rear passengers. And you can see here on the armrest, you actually have padding right there, which is another big plus. It is a 3-seater, and basically a lot of the space that is taken out of this compared to the 4-door is in the trunk area, and it's not in the seating area. And so it is a little bit more difficult to get back here because you've got to move this seat forward, and this one is manual with the adjustments. But once you're back there, it's actually very comfortable, very spacious, and you know, the seats also look fantastic. So there you go. Now here is the front door panel. You can see the padding here at the top, and then the exposed bolts. Definitely looks amazing from an aesthetic perspective. And then down below with more padding. And this is really nice because it's actually really easy to clean off. That's one of the cool things about the Defender. The mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. And then you can see the window controls again being the 2-door. You only have the 2 front ones. And then the mirror adjustments, again, blind spot monitoring. And then notice here, door lock and unlock. This does have the Meridian sound system, which sounds fantastic. And then here's the front seat. So you can see again with the padding, and then it's perforated here down the center portion. And again, like I said, manually adjustable. Here's the pedal layout just down below. Got the parking brake right here, more padding. And then notice there's some stitching here throughout. And, well, let's pop in. Now here is the steering wheel with the Defender. You can see here with the leather trim all around, and then notice we've got darker stitching there in the center. And it's kind of hard to see because of the lighting, but we have our cruise control here on the one side. And then here on the other side, we've got controls for the center stack. And then notice when I press this, it'll actually change how that looks because it changes the menus there in the center stack. And overall, it has that cool, like rugged off-roader type look for the steering wheel. And then of course we have our light / turn signal stock, and we have our windshield wiper stock, and well, that's the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. It's very unique. So notice we've got analog gauges on either side, but then they kind of bleed into the screen a little bit. And so it's like half analog, half screen, definitely unique. And then again, you got that button on the left side of the steering wheel to scroll through a couple of the different menus here with the center. So that's really easy to use. And yeah, overall, it's got a nice aesthetic. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, if we pop it into reverse, you can see you've got the backup camera with trajectory lines. They do turn with the steering wheel. And notice how you can go through the different camera viewpoints here in terms of the angle. And then notice we have our on-road versus our off-road mode, and it lets us know everything that's happening with the Defender, so that's definitely a cool feature to have. Now if we put it back into park and go to the rest of the infotainment system, first off, we've got this little button right here that'll pull up a bunch of the different menus that we can go through. Notice we have low traction launch. It's kind of like a Land Rover thing that's pretty cool. And then 4x4 information. This is also a really cool feature that I wish was in more vehicles. Shows us our current altitude, 4,200 feet. Lets us know, right, how we've got a little bit of lean forward and exactly what direction we are facing. So it'd be really hard to get lost in this. Then notice we have the wade sensing as well, which is another cool thing. And it lets you know the max depth that you can go to, which is massive, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that they've got all those different menus. You've got navigation, so we can see exactly where we are. And overall response time with the screen's fantastic. Notice we got our slope assist right there. And, you know, I think they've just done a good job with the overall aesthetic of it. We've got the shifter for that 8-speed automatic. It does have a manual shift function if you want to shift the gears yourself. We've got a bunch of controls here in this area. So we've got our hill descent control, auto stop start. This is for the air suspension to raise and lower it. Stability control, this does have low range. And then we've got our climate controls in this area, but also more than that. So notice that changes the fan speed. And then if you push in, you can do the seats. So no cooled seats, just heated seats here. With this particular Defender, then press it again and go to temperature, and then you press it again, and then you got the drive mode select. So those actually pop up here. So notice we're in comfort right now. We've got an eco, and then you've got a grass, gravel, snow, mud ruts, sand, rock crawl, and then you have your wade mode. And these drive modes will obviously change things with like the engine transmission, but also since this has air suspension, it'll either raise or lower it depending on which drive mode you go into. And then when you're done, you just have to press that button again, and then it'll kind of clear it all out. We've got some charging ports here in this area, and then notice all the storage space, and then of course we got the grab handles so that you've got something to grab on. Well, if you're driving, you don't want to, but for your passenger, right? And yeah, tons of storage space down there. A couple cup holders, and then center console. Again, really good with the storage space there. And wireless phone charger. But notice the padding here on this, and all this stuff would be very easy to clean off. I want to mention that because again, this is an off-road SUV. Got the Defender logo right there, and then you can see here with the glove box situation, and there's another little charging port right there. And then finishing things up here at the top with this particular one, this one does have the panoramic sunroof, which is massive here on a two-door. And then once we got these skylights here, that's another cool thing with the Defender, especially for the rear passengers. But it just makes the interior feel lighter overall. And then you can see here with the sunroof, that's all to control it. And then there at the top for the mirror, and there you go. So here's a window sticker for this 2023 Defender finished in Fuji white. So first off, you can see the standard equipment that comes with this. So it does come with coil suspension as standard, and you guys will see how that's changed in the options. But coil suspension is amazing off-road because it helps out with absorption and flex quite a bit. But you can see over here from an optional equipment perspective, notice base MSRP $52,300. This one has the cold climate pack, right? So heated washer jets come with that. That's pretty cool. Air suspension, right? It comes with the air suspension, adaptive dynamics, and then also automatic headlight leveling, which you kind of need when you have air suspension, right? But that's a package you get if you you know, want adjustability right with the suspension, but then also want a little bit more off-road capability. Now, the 22-inch wheels look fantastic. They look fantastic. But here's what I have to say is if you're actually going to use this for off-roading, save yourself the money and just get the standard wheels and then just put, you know, off-road tires on those wheels. And then you guys can see here for stuff like the sunroof, pretty expensive for some of these options. 3-zone climate, which, I mean, this is a 2-door and not massive, and it has 3-zone climate. I think that's pretty crazy. But anyways, after all options, total MSRP, $66,705. And let's kind of sum things up. So this particular 2-door Defender, I think, is the perfect like daily driver on-road spec that you could turn into a crazy off-roader just with a little bit of a tire and wheel change. But the biggest question that I want to have you guys answer me in the comment section below is, would you rather do the 2-door or the 4-door? I kind of lean more towards the 4-door because of the, you know, added practicality with the extra space there in the back. But the 2-door is going to have a better breakover angle from an off-roader perspective, and it's got that cool 2-door appearance to it. And so, you know, again, it's a tough decision, but yeah, let me know which one you guys like. And it's cool that these are both white because it really helps out with just showing the difference. That's gonna sum things up for our video on this 2023 Land Rover Defender, and that's so weird to say 2023. Anyways, a huge shout out and thank you to the Land Rover here in downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with the Defender. Check out the inventory in the description down below. I'll see all of you in the next video.